This is the Horse Radio Network.
This is episode 82 of Horsemanship Radio, brought to you by Index Fund Advisors, IFA.com. Horsemanship Radio is a part of the family of the Horse Radio Network. And today we have two authors. One happens to be a pretty good equestrian, too, Monty Roberts. And we've got Carly Kade, who's kind of broken onto the scene now as a new author, a young author in the equestrian world. This is Debbie Laux, and you're listening to the Horsemanship Radio. Thank you for joining us. Horsemanship Radio airs on the 1st and the 15th of the month. And I have my producer, Jen, with me today. Hi, Jen.
Hello, Debbie. How are you?
There. I'm good, Coach Jen. We got some good people to listen to today. This is going to be fun.
It's going to be a fun day. They're going to have some really fun takeaways today, people. Look out.
I think so, too. You know, I met Carly Kade, one of our authors today, at the EQUUS Film Festival in New York City. And I can't wait to tell you about her book. I don't know if you've heard about it, but it's kind of a breakthrough thing. We'll learn more about her as the day goes on, but it was really fun to see this really bright, excited new author break onto the scene. And then actually, I met her on the first day. It was Thursday night when we had this opening party in New York City. We're like right in Midtown Manhattan. We're all in our cowboy boots and our hats and everything. And she's just giddy. She walks in just giddy, and she didn't stop being giddy the whole weekend. And then she won. She won her portion, her what is that called? Division or something. And,
category.
But it was
category.
That's it. I'm so not a awards person, but it was really fun. It was really fun, and to see her so encouraged to ride on. So I'm gonna talk to her a little bit today about what's it like to be an author. What encourage some of those girls out there who are horse crazy and love reading those novels, not only to support the authors out there, but maybe become one themselves. Carly Kade is the author and winner of the EQUUS Film Festival 2016 WINNIE Award in the Best Western Fiction category for her book. It's a novel called In The Reins, and the award was presented in New York City on Sunday, November 20th, and at the 4th Annual EQUUS Film Festival. Carly's an Arizona-based equestrian author. She writes fiction about horses, horse shows, Western pleasure, and a handsome cowboy or two. Welcome, Carly Kade. Thanks for coming on Horsemanship Radio.
Thanks so much for having me, Debbie. I'm so happy to be here today.
And it's good to talk to you again, too. My goodness, it was November 20th, I think, last we met at the EQUUS Film Festival, right?
That's right. I loved being your neighbor in the expo hall while we were both showcasing our books.
You were so cute. It was so fun to have you there. Of course, I got there 2 hours early because I was just so giddy and ready to get all set up. And then I looked around, it was only worker bees around there, and there wasn't anybody to talk to. And you were one of the first faces that showed up to help set up tables and everything. So it was really nice to meet you. And it was my first film festival like that too. Is it yours?
It was my first festival. I was, so honored to be in the company of great authors and awesome equestrian filmmakers, and just take in all of the action that was going on and being a part of the conversation. It was an amazing experience. And your bright, shiny face was one of the first people I met as well. And you made me feel comfortable, and we had great conversation about our love of horses. So it was terrific, really great.
It was really fun. Thank you for that. That was very nice of you. But the first thing I always like to ask people too is, do you have a horse? And you were telling me about your horse. So tell the listeners a little bit about your registered paint too, because we want to know you're a horse person before we talk about what you're going to write about.
Absolutely. So I am a horse owner, and my horse, Sissy, was actually the inspiration for the lead horse character in my book, In The Reins, named Faith. She is actually a star in and of herself because she accompanies me on a lot of my author photo shoots, and she's the star of my promotional videos that I make for the book on my YouTube channel. So it's really lucky that I have a horse to work with as I'm, working to promote my book myself with my marketing tools, because she gets to stand in as Faith, get to know her a little bit too.
Yeah, exactly. And she looks so dreamy, just like I picture Faith in the book. your Faith. She just, she doe eyes for me. I mean, she might not be that way. Don't ruin it for me. But she looks really
she's
sweet.
Definitely a lover. Her registered name is I'm Gonna Kiss You, and it couldn't be closer to the truth. Oh. This horse gives hugs. She gives kisses. So she's a total lover. Yeah, I'm so lucky.
Do you compete on her too? I don't remember that.
I do. My specialty is Western pleasure, and we compete in showmanship and horsemanship classes. And I just recently relocated to Arizona, so I am checking out all of the amazing opportunity out here for equestrians. And luckily, I'm right down the street from the venue called Westworld, which is amazing. And I'm from the north, so what's so exciting about living in Arizona is that year-round there's horsey activities to participate in. So I get to show pretty much year round, except for the super duper hot months.
Yeah, that's true. You are a little closed down in July and August, I hope. Anyway, where did you move from, Carly?
Journey has been interesting. I've lived in the north, the east, the south, and now the west. I grew up in Michigan and had childhood horse there. And then I moved to New York City after I finished school, and I actually took a job with Universal Music and Sony Music as an artist development representative. So I basically marketed rock stars and sadly had to sell my childhood horse. But then I was promoted back to Michigan, where I found Sissy, and I became a horse owner again. And then I met my husband, whom I've turned into a cowboy, and he took a promotion down to Texas. So I went with him with the horse in tow, and we lived there for several years, and just recently relocated again to Arizona for work. Brought the horse with us again, and here I am. So I've had a chance to experience a lot of different places.
Yeah, you just basically have Hawaii and Alaska left. That's it. I was wondering, because was she trained in Western pleasure, or did you train her?
So this is actually a great conversation, because this is part of what helped me, work on and write In The Reins was my experience training Sissy myself. I got her as a 3-year-old. She was broke, but didn't know, a whole lot past that. So I had the privilege of working with a really wonderful horse trainer who, rather than doing the training for me, kind of coached me through how to do the work myself. So in that process, I was able to teach Sissy to perform her gaits through spur training. So I can basically ride her bridleless. And now she's a complete show horse. And it was a lot of work and a lot of struggle and a lot of figuring out what I was doing in the process, but I had a great coach, and today she's like my dream horse. She's everything I ever wanted.
Yeah, and that sounds a lot like Faith in the book too, and when you say spur training, now, I've heard of whip training and spur training, but I think you mean an off pressure where it's you're using your legs and not, what's the name of the book? In the Reins. It's not in the Reins. Right.
So Sissy she works off of my feet in very light cues from the spurs. So it makes it look effortless when you're sitting in the saddle, and you don't have to use the reins. Right.
Yeah. So no pain involved, which is what I like. I hear a thread in your novel. We're not going to give anything away. There's not going to be any stealing here, but I hear a thread of the new way to really get into starting horses. I mean, she's already started, but that her training started in a way that was very peaceful and cooperative, which I love about the book. So, I listen for those things. And I think you're taking up a lot of the natural horsemanship tendencies to use their natural instincts. Am I reading correctly into the book for that?
That is absolutely correct. The pages of the book are filled with a conversation about the human-horse connection and the special bond, especially between the leading woman, Devin Brooke, and her horse, Faith. One of my favorite quotes from the book, actually, it comes from McKinnon Kelly as he's speaking to Devin Brooke, and he says, "Any real beautiful thing in this world shouldn't be tamed or claimed or broken. It should be allowed to be with, worked with, not against, and appreciated." So he says to her, don't be afraid of the wild she has left. It's what makes her special, because Devin has a few Bridget Jones moments, if you will, where she has some blunders along the way as she's learning what she's doing. And she's learning to listen to her horse, and sometimes she doesn't do that so well.
And heard that McKinnon Kelly, the wonderful cowboy, that's the guy that she's after eventually, is dark haired with clear blue eyes. It doesn't hurt that, he looks pretty attractive in there too when he's saying these wonderful things about horses. There's a horse girl in there just
happy to hear it all. And one of my favorite lines is protect the animal's spirit. And I think, if I had a wish list and I got to be queen, I would take the word breaking out of our lexicon. The vocabulary word breaking in horses has been too long amalgamated. And I think we're getting there. It's like a little old holdover, because I don't picture you being an advocate of breaking a horse after reading this at all.
Oh, absolutely. I couldn't agree with you more. I think removing breaking from the terminology and any aspect to the horse is the right way to go.
And one of my favorite parts about the story is that is it Briarwood Farm? Is that what?
Greenbrier.
Greenbrier Farm. That's it. Thank you. Is that it's a peaceful place and there doesn't seem to be the typical drama of an equestrian center, right? Because there's always people like probably shouldn't have a horse and all. Everybody seems to be an advocate for horses. I like that about that.
As I'm writing the sequel, it's very interesting. I'm actually going a little bit in depth about the history of Greenbrier and how all these horse lovers ended up coming together. Oh, so cool. we go into the past of Sophia Matilda Washington Clark, who is the Greenbrier farm owner. We learn about where her passion for horses come from and how she wound up owning this big, beautiful horse farm, and how McKinnon Kelly came into her life along with J.D. McCall, the other handsome cowboy in the movie who's a bull rider, and how all their stories sort of intertwine and the horses that led them all together. So it's meshing and threading really well. The In the Reins, the book, was sort of a prelude to help readers fall in love with these characters. And the sequel, which I anticipate will be out this year, really goes into the backstory to learn how these horse lovers came together.
Cool. Oh, cool. As having read the book, that's exciting to me. So, that's one of the things I wanted to ask you today too, without giving away the book then, is, if I think you can encourage a lot of people. There's either people who buy books and just love books, and without them, you guys, you authors, wouldn't exist. And then there's authors who probably don't even know they have author in them. And I'm excited to hear, what's that process like for you? Because you seem to be, fairly new into the industry and excited about it, and you've got all these different ideas. Talk to the listener who says, what? I would never write a book, but not to sell themselves short, that they could.
What I can say is that vision with action can change your world. And I was committed to writing a story for horse lovers. And I think if you love what you're doing, you can be unstoppable. So with support of a lot of other dreamers, my editor is amazing. My husband, of course, completely supported this. Believing in me, I actually wrote this book and decidedly on my own, self-published it, did all the marketing for myself, and it's being really well received. I mean, I've been an Amazon bestseller for more than 10 weeks. It just won the Best Western Fiction Award at the EQUUS Film Festival. My readers, whether they love horses or not, are just really expressing themselves through reviews on Amazon, and it's actually rated at a 4.7. So that's nearly 5-star rating for the book.
That's really cool. Yeah, very cool. I mean, I think there is something about horses that spans a lot of people that don't even have access to horses, which I love about horses, right? So you're feeding those dreamers out there who would just want to experience that but don't have that. What would you say to them? Do you think it's possible that they can access a horse? I mean, can you build that dream a little bit? Because you were determined to always have a horse in your life, from what I'm hearing.
What I would say to people that love horses but don't have any experience with them, or are thinking about getting started, is if the love is there, if the pull is there, if you feel it, go and try it on. Maybe volunteer for a horse therapy organization. Get your feet wet that way. Look for a place where you can go and be around other beginners who are learning about horsemanship. And try it on and put, if there's any fear there, put that to the side and just try it. Because once you have that connectedness with these lovely, gentle, kind, beautiful creatures, there's so much to learn about yourself and how you're being in the world from them. It's a gift to be able to, be a human astride a horse. It just is the most wonderful feeling. And I would recommend trying it on to anyone who's interested in it.
Yeah, thank you, Carly. That's really nice of you to say. I agree with you, and I love how you use your protagonist. You use McKinnon Kelly, the cute, sexy cowboy guy. I don't even know how you define cowboy in it because he seems to be able to do anything. But he wins. Well, I can't say it, but he. I almost gave something away. But he. Spoiler alert! I didn't say it. I don't think. But he's uses the words like deliberate. Here's one thing I loved when you said. Or he said, sorry, McKinnon Kelly said, don't tiptoe around your horse. Be deliberate with your horse. I love that because horses do perceive us when we tiptoe. We're kind of like skulking around them, and they actually take that as like, are you sneaking up on me or what? Sometimes people are so careful around their horses that they're not deliberate. They're not black and white. How did you come up with that?
I think that is part of my own experience with horses. I've grown up with them. I've been around them since I've been 7 years old. I took riding lessons when I was very young, and it's just something that you pick up on. If you're nervous and you are skittish around them, it kind of generates that return energy or reciprocal energy from the horse. So I noticed that a lot in my own working with my own horse. It's like in the beginning, so the book is not based on my life, but I used a lot of my life experience to generate the different situations that Devin Brooke finds herself in. And one of the first things that I noticed when I came back into the horse world and I bought Sissy was that I had, I had lost my confidence, right, around being around a horse. I had forgotten some of the things that you need to do. Like you need to direct their energy. You need to be, quote unquote, the alpha and just generate that sort of respect and be the leader in the relationship. And I had forgotten that. And the being deliberate part, not to spook her with anything. And then I started realizing the more I tiptoe around her, the more I'm creating that sort of reaction from her. Right. So I, stopped doing that. And there's a lesson that Devin learns about that in the book as well. So I was very careful when I was writing the book too, that it isn't just for horse lovers. You don't have to understand the terminology of horses to get the gist of this book. Non-horse lovers are reading it and liking it just the same and actually reaching out and sharing with me that they learned something and they really saw what it was like to be a horse owner through the pages of the book. And they enjoyed that conversation about the human-horse connectedness. So it's a book for everyone, but, I specifically did write it with horse lovers in mind.
Well, that's why it's authentic. It's good, but it's really sexy too. So, I mean, you don't have to love horses to love, good kissing and stuff like that's in there. It's. I wouldn't say it's R-rated though. It's G-rated, but PG maybe, right?
Yeah, that's right. It's definitely not, the Fabio type, cowboy romance books that you find on the shelves at like a CVS or something. There's nothing wrong with those books, but I was searching for the book I wanted to read about my discipline. There aren't a whole lot of books about competitive horse showing at breed horse shows. There's a lot of jumping books and dressage books, which I enjoy. I read those too. But I actually wrote the book that I was looking to read. And I like a good romance with a good heavy mixture of horses. And so I wrote that. I wrote what I needed.
You did it well. You did it really well too. Just like even the smells of the senses that you put in it, the descriptions are really good too. I've never seen so many different adjectives for a cute guy. It's really good.
And he is. I mean, I think I took the best of, all the men I've ever known and all the ones that I wish I did and all the ones that I'd read about and then mixed it up with what I thought, a cowboy that could make the 8 on the back of a bull would be like and, kind of created the ideal, perfect cowboy.
Well, thanks, Carly, for joining us. I thought it was really fun to have you on the first time, but I was so intrigued by your what do you put in the back here? You start us off and you just tease us at the very back. It's please enjoy a sequel preview. McKinnon and Devin's story continues. And I'm dying for the next book.
Well, I'm so excited to hear that. I am finishing it as we speak. It will be out in 2017. And anyone who is interested in learning a little bit more about maybe some sneak peeks or sequel preview can bounce over to my website. It's carlykadecreative.com and look for updates.
Cool. And I want you to come back on then when you're ready to spring this news, okay?
The continuing
I would love
saga.
to.
Dun, dun, dun.
Oh.
Yes, exactly. Because we want to hear, I want to hear inside his brain, McKinnon's brain, because Devin's brain is, I think that's where you're going to flip it a little. Am I right?
That's right. So the sequel is being told from McKinnon's point of view. So you'll get to see inside of his head and the workings of what makes him up. And like I said before, it really goes into the history that generated In The Reins. So it's sort of like taking a step backwards, if you will. You get to learn what makes him tick, and his experience of Devin and his experience with horses that led him to be the man that he is in The Reins. So it's really been a fun thing to write, and it's coming differently than In The Reins did. In The Reins, I sort of wrote the end and then started at the beginning and went chapter by chapter. This book is taking me all over. I follow Sophia, and Sophia tells her story, and then I, bounce over to JD, and JD's got some things to say, and then Devin pops up occasionally and shares, her longing, given what's going on with McKinnon, and then of course the main voice is McKinnon, and he's, battling some of his demons, so he can maybe make his way back to Greenbrier and some of the things that he left there.
Oh my gosh, it's great! It's a classic, great book. Yeah, yeah. So fun. All right, we will have you back then, Carly. So stay tuned. We want to hear breaking news, and we'll send people to your website and to your Facebook page, and have everybody follow along.
Thank you, Debbie. I so appreciate the support, and thank you for reading my book. And it just the horse community has been so amazingly supportive of me, and I can't be more thankful. It's because of wonderful people like you and the EQUUS Film Festival, and my readers that have made this journey such a dream for me.
And for details about today's show, go to horsemanshipradio.com, where we'll have links, photos, and more information about today's guests. And we love your feedback, folks. It helps us make the show better. So join up the fun at Monty Roberts' Facebook page. Just search Monty Roberts, or you can join him on Twitter if you're one of those people who likes to live your life in very short bits. His Twitter handle is Monty_Roberts. And get the app. That's right. You can have an app for your phone and never miss an episode. Go to your app store and search Horse Radio Network. It's quick, it's free, and it's easy for your Android or Apple phone. Or you can subscribe via iTunes.
That's right. And many thanks to our sponsors, IFA.com, Omega Fields, and EQUUS Online University. Be sure to visit all the other great shows, too, I do, on the Horse Radio Network at www.horseradionetwork.com.
And until next time, have many happy horse hours.